Hi, Be Health Empowered family. Welcome back to another week of Excuse Me, Doctor. I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Clark. Please call me Dr. Mel. Welcome to all my new folks who are tuning in tonight for the first time. You know, we are here every week on YouTube and Facebook, streaming Monday nights, 9 o'clock Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. If it's your first time, please go ahead and hit that like button for Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. You know, the reason we're here is so that we can bring you facts, evidence, information so that you can make informed decisions about your health, your family's health, and the health of your community. And that's what I mean by be health empowered. And, you know, we want to make sure that we are debunking disinformation and addressing speculation so that you know what the real deal is. And, you know, tonight we have a really special show. The timing of the show is really important because just this past week, two of the top OBGYN societies in the country, specialty societies of doctors who take care of pregnant women, recommended that women receive a COVID vaccine if they're pregnant. Now, so far, only about 22% of women who are pregnant have gotten a vaccine dose that offers protection against the COVID 19 virus. And this is because women are scared about the effects that the vaccine might have on their baby and on themselves. And so we're going to do some fact finding tonight. Why would a society of doctors pledge to do no harm as a group come out and make this recommendation? And is there legitimacy at all to women's concerns about their current pregnancy or future fertility if they take the COVID-19 vaccine? So we're going to get into all of that later in the show. So start sharing, share it with everybody you know, all the women who are thinking about getting pregnant, all the women you know who are pregnant, all the people that love them. Go ahead and share it, because, you know, this is not going to be something that you want to miss. So the other thing too is write your questions, start, you know, lining them up, because we're going to take them on a first written, first served basis in terms of answering them later in the show. And we have some wonderful guests. So hang in there. We're going to get to that topic really shortly. In the meantime, we always start the show off with our weekly recap. And to help me do that, I want to call in my wonderful co-producers, Miss Lila Mays and Mr. Wayne Bruce.
Hey.
Here we go. What's going on, Lila? How are you?
How you doing? I'm all right. It's been a day.
Yeah.
You both look wonderful in your hats.
Yeah.
Thank you. You trying to bite my style a little bit, y'all, but he can wear his caps. It's okay.
You know,
yeah, it's a little different. It's a little different. Yeah. But hey, let's start off with the numbers. So, yeah, we are at 35,665,000 cases of COVID. And that overall number is astounding. It's, how do you even wrap your head around it? But the crazy thing is we're 18 months into this pandemic and cases are rising like bottle rockets. The climb is steeper right now than it was from last October to January. Wow. We're just adding new cases at a rate of 100 to 125,000 new cases every day. And keeping in mind, that's what 50% of the country vaccinated. So a lot of the people who are vaccinated who might be getting infected aren't going to get tested because they're not having any symptoms at all. So I think that's like a gross undercount probably, because not everybody who is infected is getting tested because they don't have symptoms.
Right.
Yeah. So we're also seeing hospitalizations go up. Hospitals are reaching their breaking point in several places, especially places where vaccination rates are low, like Texas and Florida and Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, running out of beds. And we're seeing people starting to die now, because I saw this impassioned plea from a hospital chief medical officer in Louisiana saying, look, not only can we not take care of COVID patients, we can't take care of regular patients who come in for other reasons, like ATV accidents, because we don't have the beds. And unfortunately, like I said, people are dying. We're over 614,000 deaths. We're having a slight increase, not as much as the cases, because we know that deaths lag behind cases. So we're seeing more like 450 to 700 deaths per day, which is a lot. Not where we've been, but we definitely don't want to go back there.
Yeah.
So before we get to Vax Facts, this actually leads us right into Vax Facts. Many of you know, most of you watching know that our producer Wayne Bruce is a musician himself. He's been with he's had a band very popular in the DMV area, the DC metro area, and the DMV lost a really important musical figure today to COVID complications. So condolences to Chucky Thompson's family and friends. His impact and reach went far beyond the DC area. Wayne's emotional. We all are. This is a significant loss. And it's really sad to me because Chucky was vocally against the vaccine.
Well, let me say this. So, each week I can see what's in the comments and going on and what's going on with everything. And Dr. Mel can't and Lila can't see but a little bit. But all you people, and these comments are of Wayne Bruce. They do not represent Dr. Melissa or Lila. They are mine. And I thank Dr. Mel for giving me the space. But you can say what you want in these comments, or whatever Russian troll you are, or uninformed person. But until you are affected by this, ain't no fake tears here. And if you don't like what we're saying, you know how to exit the program. I'm just saying. And I can put you on camera. Now, hold on. I can put you on camera or take you off camera. But if you don't like the program, you can leave. What you can do, though, is stick around and see somebody who has studied this and been trained, okay? And we don't get our information from crazy YouTube things. We just don't. So let me say this. I'm hurt. The DMV is hurt. Hip hop is hurt.
R&B.
And R&B is hurt. And go-go is hurt.
Yeah.
So those are three genres of music that Chucky touched. We weren't close, but he was a comrade in arms in this thing called music. So I encourage everybody, if you don't understand what's going on with this virus, listen to us, listen to Dr. Mel. And like I said, you call me whatever you want to, but I'm going to be nice again. I'm going to be nice. I'm going to be nice again. You call me whatever you want to, but if you don't like it, leave the program. Those who want to stick around and learn, please do. Dr. Mel is studied. We are here. I'm here for jokes and everything. And Lila, I thank you. Lila, it was in the music industry for a number of years and remains in the entertainment industry. And this thing is serious, and it touched. And I got another friend who is not doing great.
Is in the hospital right now. I mean, this is a real thing. And thank you, Wayne, for everything that you said, and Lila for bringing up Chucky, our condolences to his family and those who he loved and everybody who he touched and mentored and inspired. Our hearts go out to you tonight. And, you know, just it's additionally sad because a death today from COVID is a death that is preventable. And I think
Right.
that kind of leads us into the Vax facts
Right.
for this week.
Yeah.
You know, we're at about almost 60% of eligible people, so people 12 and older, who are fully vaccinated. But that means 40%, 41% are still not yet vaccinated. The good news is that over the past 2 weeks, people of color, Black and brown people, have been vaccinated with a first dose of COVID-19 at higher rates than white people. So somehow, I think, even though there are detractors and people who are still saying, I'm going to wait, or I just don't believe in vaccination or whatever, um, you know, Latinos make up 17% of the nation's population, but they totaled more than 25% of the new vaccinations in the past 2 weeks. And African Americans, we're about 12% of the United States population. We're 15% of those getting new vaccinations. So things are changing slowly but surely.
I just want to say this. I am emotional about it because there's a loss of life, but also for those of you who don't believe in the vaccine, I can't change your mind. However, science says it is the one barrier, really the greatest barrier, maybe not the one, but the greatest that we have, the barrier between us and death. Okay, so
Absolutely.
um,
Well said.
moving on, there has been an increase in COVID cases in children. Yes, Dr. Mill?
Yeah, there has been an increase of COVID cases in children. The ones who can't be vaccinated because they're 11 or younger,
Mhm.
and those who could be vaccinated who are 12 and older. There's actually been an 84% jump in the last week alone. 8 states have said that there are upticks in their childhood children getting hospitalized with COVID. Florida is leading the way. They have, I think, something like 170 kids in the hospital right now with COVID. They're adding about 30 a day. Um, Major hospitals, children's hospitals in Alabama, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas, I think I might have mentioned those states, they've been having an overall increase in hospitalizations, but they have more children in their care now than any point during the pandemic in the
Mm.
last 15 months. And
This,
overall, yeah, it's 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 hard to believe that we are here right now.
Yeah.
And I think the concern is, we're talking about when the Delta variant is going to peak. Some people say it's at the end of October or sometime in September or maybe October. Bottom line is that's when everybody's going back to school. And
right.
these places that are moving full steam ahead as if this not is not happening, I think, I pray for those children and the teachers in those settings where they're all going to be together. I hope that they institute mask mandates. I hope that everybody over 12 gets vaccinated and I hope that they do social distancing and upgrade the ventilation systems, because that's really the only way I think that we're going to be able to keep our children safe in schools.
Wow. Oh wow. So, um, I mean, we're both we're emotional right now because some things are going on. But Dr. Mel, let's talk about monoclonal antibodies. I was talking to a friend about monoclonal antibodies and just getting him to practice how to say it. But uh, tell the story this week of what's
Well,
going on.
yeah, well, we mentioned that We have another friend who's in the hospital who has COVID. He and his dad got COVID at the same time. His dad received monoclonal antibodies and he didn't, mainly because by the time he got to care, he was already too sick to receive them. So, what are they? They are antibodies against COVID-19 that are made in the lab, packaged, made into a medicine, basically. And if you get diagnosed with COVID and you are over 65, have an underlying health condition, or you take medicines that slow your immune system down, um, and you're unvaccinated or not fully vaccinated, you're eligible to get these monoclonal antibodies. And there's a special population of people who've been vaccinated who are those individuals who probably don't mount a good immune response. So those people, same things, who are on chemotherapy for cancer or have immune system cancer or have medicines that lower their immunity, those people are eligible if they test positive for COVID and have been vaccinated. So there are people who can get these monoclonal antibodies, and it can be the difference between life and death, or between not going in the hospital and going in the hospital. So make sure that if you get diagnosed for COVID within the first 5 days of your diagnosis, that you seek out medical attention and ask for monoclonal antibodies if you're in one of these high risk groups. That's really super important.
Okay. So this is crazy to me, but lower vaccination rates among long-term caregivers, care workers. Break it down, Dr.
That'll
Bell.
make sense.
Yeah. So it turns out that of people that work in long-term care facilities, 75% of the doctors are already vaccinated compared to 45% of the aides. And they did this study, they saw that aides were less likely to be fully vaccinated if they worked in long-term care facilities in zip codes with lower mean incomes.
Mhm.
Okay. And they found that they were more likely to be Black and brown people, more likely to have pre-existing conditions, both of which made them higher risk for getting COVID-19, getting a severe case of COVID-19. And when I read this, I thought to myself, look, these are the people who are choosing to not get vaccinated are the people who have the least power in these organizations, right?
Mhm.
The people that run the organizations have gotten vaccinated, the owners of the long-term care facilities, the doctors that work there. And I really think it's an indictment on our medical system. And it also shows that the system is only as strong as the people who are perceived to have the least power in it. Because if the aides and the LPNs who are in closest contact with the patients don't get vaccinated, guess what? Those patients are probably going to get COVID. And you also are going to lose a significant amount of the people that work there. A lot of places are moving to mandate it, mandate getting the vaccine. And I have a concern about that because it's only going to make those people who feel powerless, make them feel even more powerless because they're being told what to do.
Mhm.
I'm hoping that places are going to take the stance of maybe pairing them up with people who've made the choice to get vaccinated, have them talk through it, have discussion groups, at least do something to make them feel that they're making the decision on their own as opposed to forcing them to do it. But the bottom line is, if in the end, if my mother or my father is in that long-term care facility, I want anybody who comes around them to be vaccinated.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
Definitely. Hey, something that's near and dear to me, as you could look at my Adonis physique, regular exercise increases brain size.
So I thought it was important to throw something non-COVID in here, although a lot of the news has been around COVID this week. But this study did come out, and it's important to know that our brains retain the ability to grow throughout our lifetime and form more nerve connections. And so as older adults, this happens the most when we exercise. So they looked at people over 60 who walked daily and showed that they had more new nerve fibers and they performed better on memory tests as compared to 60-year-olds who didn't exercise during the same 6-month period of time. The inactive people actually lost nerve fibers in their brain. They got thinner and weaker looking and shriveled up versus uh, I'm sorry, and those sedentary people, those same people performed worse on cognitive tests. So you might have heard the phrase sitting is the new smoking.
Yeah.
Sitting is also the way to lose brain cells.
Okay.
So I just have to say this. I just have to say, we have the best viewers, some of y'all. But our great friend of the show, Valerie Spalding Parker, said, walking does not include back and forth to the refrigerator, y'all. Don't include that in your walking routine.
Yeah, no. This is brisk walking for at least 30 to 45 minutes.
Okay, fantastic.
Away from the refrigerator.
Away from the refrigerator. Thank
For
you.
sure. For sure.
So that's it for the recap. You know what's next? You know what's next?
Let us know. What's next?
The weekly debunk. Stopping misinformation in its tracks.
This comes from Tyrone Twitter. Tyrone says, hey, 99% of the people, no, some fool said this in the section, 99% of the people survive COVID-19 and this whole pandemic is overblown. I'm healthy, have never even had the flu shot. What do I need to get vaccinated for? Tell me.
Dr. Mel, please talk to the people.
Talk to
Okay.
99%.
Well,
Dude.
these are the numbers. So it's true. Roughly 70% of the people who get sick with COVID will never have symptoms. Okay, but that leaves 30% of people who will. And then serious consequences that could really alter the rest of the person's life occur in about 0.5% of the cases. But let me give you some other numbers, though. It really depends on your underlying health. 40% of those people diagnosed with COVID-19 who have an underlying health condition end up hospitalized. That's 40%. An underlying health condition doesn't mean only heart disease, kidney disease, liver disease. It means obesity also. And then it also affects those people who are well. So 9% of those people diagnosed with COVID-19 without an underlying health condition were hospitalized. 2% ended up in the ICU. And it's literally like playing Russian roulette to mess with COVID-19, especially this new Delta variant, because it's hospitalizing younger people who are well. And we don't know who among us who fits into that category might end up in the hospital. And even if you just talk about that 1% of 300 million people is 3 million people.
Right.
That's 3 million people
Right.
who might die. I mean, who wants to have that? So far, because of masking, distancing, quarantining, and now vaccines, we've had only, I say only in quotes, 615,000 people die as opposed to 3 million people die. But that's because we've made a big deal about it and because we have been putting those things into place and now we have vaccines. The thing is, this disease is spread by people to people who they love and interact with. So even if you think that you personally will be okay, it's not just about you. This, by definition, we are in a public health emergency. Underline public. It's not a private health emergency. So the decisions that you make affect those people around you. The person that I spoke about where him and his dad got COVID, he gave it to his dad. I didn't say that, but that's essentially what I was told. And I'm sure in his wildest dreams, he never would have wanted to have his dad have COVID. And so these are not private decisions. This is not about civil liberties. This is about protecting your tribe, protecting those who you love. And even if you've never got a flu shot, I encourage you to go back and watch the episode that we did with the natural medicine physician, Dr. Theodore Watkins. He said he had never gotten a flu shot before, but he got a COVID shot because he knows that these are two different diseases where one is much more fatal and much more infectious than the other, and ends up with this thing called long COVID, which the flu doesn't do to you. There are all these differences that make it such that it's important to get vaccinated for COVID, even if you've never had a flu shot. Mm-hmm. So I'll stop there because I could go on and on about that. And thank my producers, Miss Lila and Mr. Wayne Bruce, for joining us. Thank you so much.
Lila, well, you know what time this is, right?
Yeah. Click like, click share, subscribe.
Click like, click share, click subscribe. The comment section is off the chain. I just want everybody to know that. And we're going to see y'all in a few. All right?
All right. Thanks for joining us. I know we're going to see you back. We're going to move into our show. More than 1 in 4 pregnant women have not received a COVID vaccine dose that's offering protection from COVID. And the number one question that I get from all women is about their fertility. Will the COVID vaccine affect my fertility? Or if I'm pregnant, will it affect my pregnancy? And I have my OBGYN colleagues who are calling me and telling me now that more pregnant women are ending up in the hospital in ICUs now because of this Delta variant. And then I mentioned at the beginning of the show that specialty societies of OBGYN doctors are recommending that vaccinated women get pregnant. So what's the real deal? I called up a colleague of mine, Dr. Donald Alcindor, who's a PhD in molecular virology. He's on the faculty at Meharry Medical School, Vanderbilt University. He serves as an expert at the Division of Vaccine Injury and Compensation for the Department of Health and Human Services. And he's also a voting member of the FDA Antiviral Drug Advisory Committee. So I asked him that question directly. So can you go ahead and pull that up for us, Wayne? This is Dr. Donald. We get more into efficacy. I want to switch to talk specifically about concerns that women have who are trying to get pregnant. Talk to us a little bit about why women should not be concerned about trying to get pregnant from anything that would happen to them if they got vaccinated with with one of the available COVID vaccines.
Yeah, so we have to start with fertility because some women are concerned that the COVID-19 vaccine might compromise their ability to have a baby, their fertility. And it's very much based upon the interactions with the vaccine and a molecule called syncytin-1. Syncytin-1 is required for a pregnancy, for placentation, and for a successful pregnancy. And so there were a number of messages going out suggesting that there was cross-reactivity between syncytin-1 and the spike protein of the coronavirus. And I can tell you there is no support for those ideas that there were cross-reactivity that would hurt fertilization in women.
And so when you say cross-reactivity, you mean that antibodies that are made to the spike protein that are made as a result of vaccination would then attack that protein, the syncytin-1 protein that's part of the placenta.
Exactly right. So
that's what people's concerns were.
That's exactly right. So it would be an autoimmune phenomenon where the body would attack something that's required for development of a fetus and so forth. And so the idea is that there is no information, and of course that supports that notion. I should also say that out of the 358 amino acids that encode the syncytin-1 protein, there are only 4 protein residues that are identical in the syncytin protein and the spike coronavirus protein. So there's no biological basis for the cross-reactivity or the interaction that would develop antibodies that would destroy or damage tissues that are expressing sensitin-1.
In other words, it's like if two men were walking down the street and one was a criminal and somebody confused one for the other because they had a red tie on, but the whole rest of their outfit was different. Their hair, their skin color, everything else was different. They just had the red tie on. They're thinking that an antibody would mistake one protein for the other when only a very small part of each of those two proteins look alike. So there's absolutely no basis for that concern.
No biological basis.
Right. That the COVID vaccine would create antibodies that would attack the placenta and this protein in the placenta.
I want to say one other thing is that there's no evidence that sensitin-1 can be found on the surface of the coronavirus as well. That was another piece of misinformation that was out there.
Okay. And then what about concerns about it altering our DNA? Because I think for women who are thinking about becoming pregnant in the future, they're concerned that it might alter the DNA in their ovaries or in their eggs that would then give rise to a baby. So can you speak to that, please?
Yes. So when you're injected with the vaccine formulation, the lipid nanoparticle that housed the mRNA molecule opens up like a Trojan horse. And the idea is now the foreign protein is expressed by the mRNA. The mRNA never visits the nucleus of the cell where our DNA is. The mRNA is destroyed within 20 minutes after it's dispensed into the body by way of vaccination. And so that's something we should not be concerned about. The mRNA never visits the nucleus. It stays in what we refer to as the cytoplasm of the cell. And our DNA is located in the nucleus of our cells. And there has been no indication of high mutation rates in people that have given birth to babies that have had COVID-19.
Okay. So it's like me getting an Uber ride into a building or into a area of town. I get out of the Uber car, which is the lipid nanoparticle that you mentioned that got me in there. I walk into the building, but there's no way that I can get into your apartment, which is where your DNA is, because I don't have the key. All I can do is hang out in the apartment lobby. So there is absolutely no way that I, as the mRNA, can get into your apartment. And then furthermore, within 20 minutes of me entering the building security comes and takes me out.
That's exactly right. Yes.
Okay. Yes. All right. Well, you have been tremendously helpful and descriptive in all the information you've given us. It's been an honor and a pleasure to interview you. And I hope that this has been illuminating for all our audience, especially our pregnant women and women who are thinking about getting pregnant in the future, before we go and turn to our very next guest. So thank you so much, Dr. Alcindor.
Thank you for having me.
So thanks again, Dr. Alcindor. And in our studio tonight with us, we have two really special guests. Dr. Salaika Michelle, who is a board-certified OBGYN. She's had a 20-year career, and she's 4,000 babies in that she is responsible for bringing into this world. She specializes in minimally invasive robotic surgery. She co-chairs the Maryland Health Equity Task Force on maternal mortality, and I am just happy to welcome her tonight. Thank you, Dr. Michelle, for joining us.
Hello.
Hi there. And then we also have Miss Larisha Harris. She's a sports industry veteran, former radio show host, and currently is a freelance reporter covering college and professional athletics. And she can be heard on the streaming show Fourth and Justice about the intersection of sports, race, and politics. She's a proud member of Delta Sigma Theta sorority, but most importantly for this show, she is soon to be mother of twins. Welcome, Larisha. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So you guys heard the interview with Dr. Alcindor. Dr. Michelle, I know that you get these same questions in your office. Now, he was answering from a microbiologist standpoint. How do you answer the question of, I want to get pregnant, should I get the COVID vaccine?
So my answer is still yes, you should still get the COVID vaccine. Just as he mentioned, the safety of the vaccine with our pregnant patients and soon to be pregnant patients has really been fairly clear. We haven't seen any potential risks from the vaccine for infertility, for miscarriage, for any type of pregnancy, specific pregnancy concerns from the vaccine, but we have seen it from the infection. So we are strongly encouraging our soon to be pregnant moms and our pregnant moms to be vaccinated. And the American College of OBGYN and the SMFM, which is the Society of Maternal Fetal Medicine, has actually come out with a public recommendation. And these are the two leading organizations for representing specialists in OB. And they do recommend that our pregnant patients be vaccinated against COVID-19. So we are really trying to be proactive with getting our patients vaccinated prior to pregnancy. However, if they happen to get pregnant and they still aren't vaccinated, I'm doing what I can to really educate those patients. And I find that if I can educate the pregnant mom, I've educated a household just by educating the mom, because she's the one that's going to be taking her children to the doctor, her 12 and older children now for vaccine. She's going to be educating, her partner, and it spills over into the extended family as well. So if I can get specific targeted layman term education to my soon to be pregnant moms and pregnant moms, I'm essentially flipping a household.
Makes perfect sense to me. Mm-hmm. So, Larisha, I want to bring you in on this because I'm sure you had to go through a decision-making process as to whether you were going to get the COVID vaccine or not. And first of all, let me say congratulations to you. Tell everybody your due date.
I am due December 18th.
All right. So potential Christmas babies. So, what were some of your concerns that you had to think through? Maybe some of the misinformation or information that you had gotten about the COVID-19 vaccine that gave you pause?
Well, first off, the vaccine itself was something that I was a little nervous about, just because I felt like I wasn't knowledgeable enough of, the pros and cons of the vaccine itself, right? And then I find out I'm pregnant. So I had to really think about what to do from that point, because I didn't want, the vaccine to interrupt anything as it pertained to my pregnancy, because I was a little concerned, about it. How would it affect, my babies or the pregnancy process itself? Again, I was completely unaware of anything pertaining to the vaccine and pregnancy itself. So going in initially, that was one of the primary reasons why I was a little hesitant. But when I had my first doctor's visit, I asked those questions, and my OB was able to explain everything and told me, in your second trimester, that's when we would like for you to get the vaccination, because these are the pros of it. And she laid out all the pros of getting the vaccine, and it was all good things as it pertained to the babies in the pregnancy. So that made me happy, knowing that it would eventually and overall be helpful and useful for my babies.
Great. Well, shout out to your OBGYN for giving you some good information. I wanted to switch a little bit to the Delta variant. Are we seeing anything different with pregnant women in the Delta variant, Dr. Michelle?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we already know that the Delta variant is more contagious and it causes more severe disease. And that carries over to our pregnant patients as well. So our pregnant patients are 50% more likely to be admitted to the ICU, potentially placed on a ventilator, have significant breathing concerns, and the specific COVID pneumonia. So we are really, really trying to be proactive with our pregnant patients by getting them immunized as soon as essentially they can in the pregnancy. Now, we do have some patients who are trying to wait until after the pregnancy to get immunized. There's some potential downsides with that, in the sense that we remind patients that that means that you will be entering a space that has COVID and you're not vaccinated if you're going to be delivering in a hospital, right? So if you're going to be getting having your delivery in a birthing center or a hospital, just be cognizant that everyone in that spaces aren't necessarily immunized, and that there are COVID positive patients in the hospital. So to come into a space knowing that there's COVID in the space, we're definitely recommending that you come in armed. However, our hospital is being proactive even postpartum after the delivery. So we're offering vaccinations in the hospital before the mothers go home, because we know that the vaccine still can create antibodies that can be passed through breast milk. So even
Which
if
is a good thing, right?
That's a very good thing. That's a very good
It's what nature made to make sure that babies could get immunity before their
Exactly.
immune systems could work, right?
Exactly. So we find antibodies in two specific areas when it comes to pregnancy. One, and the baby. So one, cord blood, right? And that's been specifically tested, and we find it in breast milk. So we know that that moms of children of pregnant moms who have been vaccinated carry the antibodies. So still being really, really proactive, but it takes a lot. It takes a lot trying to take the time to truly answer heartfelt questions, heartfelt concerns about our pregnant moms have about their potential unborn children.
Can you talk to us a little bit about the vaccine databases and what they have revealed about the pregnant women who have gotten the vaccine thus far, and how
Sure.
they have done?
Yeah. So the CDC has a database called VSafe, and you can enroll even if you're not pregnant. So when I first got vaccinated back in January, I enrolled in VSafe. And so VSafe essentially sends specific targeted reminders by text to answer a series of questions starting the day of your initial vaccination, and daily through your second shot if you're getting a Pfizer or Moderna. And at least for several months after that, I was getting texts even up to six months after I was COVID vaccine complete. And so the VSafe registry through the CDC, as of July 26, had almost 140,000 pregnant patients who had documented that they had received the COVID vaccine. And so what they have found from that data alone, that there has not been any significant increase in negative pregnancy outcomes, whether that's preterm concerns, preterm labor, preeclampsia, all those kinds of things that we've seen in our COVID positive patients. So the VSafe registry is still collecting data, but to date, there has not been any specific concern with fertility, or I should say infertility, and negative pregnancy outcomes.
And Larisha, maybe you could tell us, would you mind sharing with us what vaccine you got and where you are in the vaccine journey right now and how you're feeling, all that good stuff?
So I actually received my second dose today of the Pfizer vaccine. After the first dose, I was fine. I didn't have any of the side effects whatsoever. There was a little soreness like in the arm, just from where the needle was placed, of course, and I received the shot itself. But other than that, I had no problems, no side effects, no nothing. I just proceeded on as normal. Um, and even after that, like literally last week, I went to the doctor to check on everything, make sure everything was good as it pertains to my pregnancy, and the babies are growing and everything looks good. And today I went, like I said, I got my second dose of the Pfizer vaccine, and I'm good. I'm not tired, no headaches, nothing like that. It's been good. Actually very shocking a little bit, because you hear the stories of how some people were tired and might have experienced certain things, but I had none of those problems.
Well, I did on my second shot, I did kind of take
Me
a
too.
day or so where I felt achy and tired. I had to pop a Tylenol or two, but after like 24 hours, I was perfectly fine. So,
Yeah,
um,
I
but
had
I am
similar.
glad that yeah, no, I'm glad, Larisha. I'm glad everything is going a-okay and well for you.
Thank
Um,
you.
so, gosh, I could keep talking to y'all because I have more questions, but I don't want to be selfish. I want to make sure that we get the audience in here. And so I'm going to ask Wayne and Lila to come on back and let us know what's going on in the chat because I know it's probably lit up.
The chat is lit, y'all.
Oh no.
Uh,
You don't want
listen,
to bring the audience in here.
Okay.
You don't
Well,
want to
let's
bring the
see.
audience in here.
Are there any questions for Dr. Michelle or for Larisha?
Uh, it's a war going on in the chat.
your
Especially,
your
and
West Coast producer is in
And
the
I just
mix.
want to
Okay.
I just want to say this for y'all who are anti-vax out there, tell us your alternative.
I
What is
mean,
your alternative? How are you going to keep black and brown people alive who have been dying at 3 times the rate from COVID? What's your alternative? If you
uh,
give me an alternative, I'll be like, okay, yeah. But if you have an alternative, please let us know.
don't, don't, don't,
So
don't,
sorry,
don't.
I just had to
Kayla,
say that.
you had to say that. I'm just,
Yeah.
people are talking vitamin D and that's cool and omega fatty acid, but that
Okay,
ain't stop
show me where
polio.
that has
That didn't
yeah,
stop polio.
show me where that's keeping people alive.
I mean, it didn't
Show
stop
me.
smallpox.
Yeah.
They have vitamin D around smallpox. I'm just saying.
Mhm.
Okay, I'm
Right.
gonna
Yeah.
stop being silly. Everybody in the chat loves the fact that Larisha is having twins, and so they want to know how you feel, how you're going through this twin journey. Talk about your sleep patterns.
Okay, well, I can say that this twin journey has been very, very exciting. I am having a little boy and a little girl, so the
Oh,
best of both
wow.
worlds. um, the journey again has been exciting. My sleep patterns now are just getting to the point where it's being interrupted a little bit because you have to find those comfortable positions at night. But I'm thankful that I have a large body pillow that's a little helpful, and it supports my belly because my belly is growing fast on a daily. Um, I am hungry all the time. And I'm craving popcorn, apples, mangoes, and sausage dogs with coleslaw. Um,
I was gonna say it sounds healthy till you got to the sausage dogs.
Sausage dogs with coleslaw.
I know that's crazy, but the good thing is I've actually been able to stay active and healthy best I can. I was a huge fitness advocate prior to pregnancy, and I think that has helped me out a lot. And so I've been able to still do some of that. Of course, my OBGYN advised me to take it easy and lighten up everything, which I have. So I'm able to walk and do a pregnancy workout at least twice a week, which is good. So
That is fantastic. And I thank you for that question because health and pregnancy and staying healthy for your baby is what it's all about. And
mhm,
thanks for bringing that out.
for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Lila,
I don't have
you don't
any
have the
questions
mark
on
of the
my
beast.
side. No.
Yeah,
Well, according to some comments, yes.
yeah, Corey, right now. It's Dr. Mel.
Well,
Ask a
actually, I
question.
will ask Dr. Michelle in terms of your patients that say, well, I'm taking my prenatal vitamins, I'm taking my vitamin D, um, I'm taking well, I know echinacea is actually prohibited in pregnancy. I'm taking my vitamin C. Um, isn't that enough, Dr. Michelle, to protect me from getting COVID?
Uh,
And I stay at home. I don't go out. My partner works and goes out, but I stay at home. What do you say to all of that?
so I am a huge advocate for naturopathic solutions. Knowing that naturopathic solutions and Western medicine don't have to be mutually exclusive. That makes sense.
Very much.
I want you to still take your vitamin D. I want you to still take your vitamin C. I want you to still take your prenatal vitamin. However, there has been no specific data that has shown that those exclusively prevent COVID infection. Now, that with COVID infection, there have been some studies that have shown that those things can reduce the effects of a COVID infection, but they have not been shown to be preventative completely. So I'm strongly urging people not to do not necessarily just do the naturopathic solution and not the vaccine. The vaccine has the data. It has the data.
Yeah. And I think, there's an analogy that I've given before, which is, imagine you're about to have a pop quiz, which is infection or exposure to the coronavirus. And then the night before, somebody comes and gives you all the answers to the test, exactly how to exactly pass and answer all those questions exactly correctly. No matter how smart you are, if somebody gives you the answers, you're going to do better on the test than if you did not have those answers. So the vaccine gives your immune system the exact instructions on how to take down the coronavirus the moment you are exposed to it. It doesn't matter how healthy you are. Actually, the healthier you are, the better, because that means your immune system will be able to execute those instructions more efficiently. So they work together, just like Dr. Michelle said, in a beautiful way. All those, the vitamin D and the vitamin C, they enhance the effectiveness of your immune system so that when you get the vaccine, you make the antibodies, you make the cells that are necessary to take down the coronavirus right away.
Absolutely, absolutely. But we know that the vaccine also is not 100%. So even though someone gave you all the answers, someone else could still come in and throw a couple other trick questions in there, but you've still been
the bonus questions.
The bonus questions, but you've still been armed with the core answers to the problem, right?
The variants are the bonus questions.
Right, exactly. The variants are the bonus questions. But nonetheless, you've been armed. You've been armed.
Right.
So I don't want people to feel like the vaccine will 100% keep you from getting the infection. That is not what we're saying, and that is not true. We know that our vaccinated patients have gotten COVID infection, but we do know that those vaccinated patients who got COVID infection weren't the ones in the ICU, right?
Or in the hospital for the most part.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
This question is for the whole panel. Anyone who wants to answer, how do you reconcile your faith and science?
Dr. Michelle?
Oh, I can answer that one. So again, faith and medicine are not mutually exclusive. So I feel that the God that I serve works through me and works through others, including scientists. So the fact that he has armed people with a science ministry, the ability to create vaccines that work, right? We should be embracing those gifts and those skills, those God-given skills. So I still pray for covering for my household, covering for myself. I'm vaccinated, but I'm still praying for coverage of my children, and my children are vaccinated. And that's because the vaccine, again, is not 100% effective. No vaccine is going to be 100% effective. But I know that the God that I serve wants me to use both, wants me to use my head and common sense, and be able to discern accurate data from reputable sources, right? Not just from anybody, but from reputable sources, and make good decisions. Use discernment.
Yeah.
All right.
And can I say
Larissa,
this
do
really
you want
quickly?
to? Yes, please
because
do.
because my mom is the goat. She is actually a pastor of Worth It Nations International Ministries in Brunswick, Georgia, and she literally just texted me because she's watching the show, and she told me to remind everybody that Luke, God's disciple, was actually a doctor.
Come
So
on now,
Come on,
Mom.
Ma. Come
Come
on, Ma.
on,
Boom.
Come on, Ma.
Drop the mic, Mama. Thank
Come on,
you.
Ma. Don't play with Mama.
yeah, mama be on it now.
Mama
That's
said
right.
knock you out. That's basically
And
Mama said knock you out.
exactly.
and I would say this, just there is no knowledge that we as humans have that didn't come from God.
Mhm.
And God uses a variety of ways. As many grains of sand as is on the beach are individuals. And through those individuals, God works to reveal all sorts of things. And to me, all this knowledge works together for us to be able to grow and mature as human beings and take care of each other and serve each other. And that's what I do through the science that God has gifted us with and through medicine and healing that God has gifted us with. And so I don't see anything incompatible with science and faith. And I shudder when I hear certain ministers say, as in a YouTube video, I think that Wayne played for me, with a minister saying, you have God, you don't need a mask, you don't need a vaccine, you don't need social distancing. Because I'm wondering if that same pastor would say to his congregation, you don't need a burglar alarm on your house, you don't need an airbag, you don't need
A
a
seatbelt.
seat belt, you don't need a gun. Because it was, let's talk about the group of people he was talking to. I'm pretty sure some of them had guns at home.
Don't take away their guns.
Right, exactly. Don't take away their guns. So, again, there is nothing incompatible between science and faith. I really don't think so. And I think they all work together.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I agree.
Thank you.
Okay, Lila. I mean, that was I'm just I can't I have nothing more
Great
to
question.
say.
Whoever
That was a
answered
great-
it, whoever
That was
asked
a
it,
great
thank you very
question.
much.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
So
Any closing questions? I think we have time for one more brief one.
no, I don't have one, Dr.
Yeah.
Mel.
All right. Well,
We're
I
we
think we can
we're
go
at
ahead and wrap,
we
because
can
this has been a wonderful panel. I want to thank Dr. Alcindor, who uh, dropped that video in there on us, and wonderful knowledge. Dr. Michelle, friend of the show, thank you so much for joining us once again and giving us that wonderful information. Larisha Harris, you are a true gem. And thank you to your mother, our new pastor.
Oh wait, she sent me something else, guys. Let me tell you really
Okay.
quickly. She
All right.
says that's why those that were lepers were put out of the camp until they went through the cleansing period.
Listen. Listen.
Well, there you go. Social distancing.
If only.
Yeah,
come on now.
Social distancing.
exactly. So
Mama be on it.
thank you to her, and best of health to you and your family and your little boy and little girl who are on their way right now.
Thank
We
you.
wish you the best of health and Godspeed with your delivery and the expansion of your family.
Thank
And
you.
Absolutely.
so, absolutely. And thank you, as always, to Lila and Wayne, my co producers. Thank you for all the wonderful questions and the comments from the audience tonight, positive or negative. We take them all. And we thank you for participating. I'll be on the Russ Parr Morning Show tomorrow morning at 7:48 exactly a.m. Eastern Time. So tune in if you can. If I don't see you or talk to you between now and then, be safe out there. And remember, always be wise, be well, and be health empowered. Thanks for joining.